right, in this video, we're going to start working on our clients page. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to do is we want to go into our variable section, and we're going to add a variable here. Let's just move me out of the way, called get clients. So we'll say get clients. The kind is going to be a collection, and it's going to be a collection of users, and hit save. Now that we have that variable, let's go ahead and add a global variable. And let's call this, client role. And for the text, let's go ahead and type clients. Client, just singular, and hit save. Okay, great. Now we're ready to go ahead and we want to add a, to our partial here, we want to add a clients page. So let's double click on the partial, and you want to make sure that sidebar here is selected in your nav bar. Let's click on the home link block, and we're going to hit copy, and then let's paste after. Let's change the word here from home to clients. It's clients. And then the icon, let's go over, change that from FA home to FA-walking. And that's going to give us kind of like a person icon. Great. And then now we have to select that link block and click on the gear icon. We have to change where it's going to, and we'll call this the clients. Okay, great. Now, remember with sidebars, you have to click off of them in order to make the changes. So let's do that. And let's click on pages, and let's click on a new page, and let's create a clients page. And that's going to be in the format of a table. Create the page. Don't forget, we have to rename this page. So click the drop down next to page. Let's call this clients. And let's change the slug as well to match clients. And you can see here that if you go to website.com/clients, and website.com, of course, is going to be your actual web app URL, you'll see that it's actually going to be clients. Don't forget to add the redirect rule. So we'll say login is logged in, and that needs to be, if it's false, it's going to redirect them. So let's say false. There we go. Hit OK, and then hit save. Okay, great. Now, this is our new page. Notice here this nav bar, we got to get rid of that and replace that with our sidebar. So let's click on that, go one level up, and let's click on our elements. Make sure you're on partials. And let's drag this partial sidebar anywhere on our form. Let's click on our sidebar, and let's go ahead and Control X to cut that. Come back over onto the nav bar that was automatically created. We'll go two divs, three divs. We'll go 3 divs up, click the 3 dots, and hit replace. And there we go. Now remember, don't forget to click off of the sidebar there. And now we got our clients sidebar complete. Now that we have our sidebar on our page, let's go ahead and just change a few things. Let's call this clients, and we'll call this client list. Perfect. Now, if you remember with tables, we only need to have one row. So let's go ahead and delete this second row. So I use the breadcrumbs down below to select that. We can also get rid of this div block here, so we're not going to have pagination. And let's hide this menu. So we'll click on the link block, select drop down here in the bottom breadcrumb, and then hit the gear icon, and we can change that to hide because we don't actually need to see that. Very good. Okay, so let's go create a backend action that will actually get a list of our clients. So let's click on backend actions. We're going to go up at the top right, click new action, And don't forget to rename this. So we'll call this get clients. We're going to add a trigger here of endpoint. And what are we trying to return? Well, we're trying to return a collection of clients. So we'll call this get clients. We'll choose it from the users. Now we want to add a where clause. So click this, and then we're going to choose role is equal to, and remember we had created that variable called client role. We want to make sure that it's only returning clients and not all the users in our database here. Hit save. Now we have to go back up to this triggered by endpoint, and we need to choose a response variable here of get clients. Now, if we go ahead and hit build, and we'll let our code build. Now that our code is built, let's hit run action and hit run, and let's make sure it's only returning back just clients. And as you can see, we have 2 clients. We have Becky, we have John Smith, and notice ourselves aren't showing up because we actually have a different role other than client assigned to us. So that means our back-end action is set up. So now that we got our back-end action created, let's go ahead back to our client page. And we need to create a new front-end action. So click on front-end actions, new front-end action, and let's add an event here. This is going to be a run endpoint event, and then we're going to select our new get clients endpoint that we just created. Now here we'll type in get clients as, and then get client response. Hit save. We're then going to come down, add another event. This time, instead of an endpoint event, it's going to be under flow control condition. And basically, we just want to check and make sure that we're actually getting something back before displaying it. So let's go ahead and add a condition. And let's say that event response is equal to our HTTP success code. Hit save. Then we'll come back to this condition, hit the 3 buttons here, and then hit add event inside. And from here, we're actually going to change this to variable and set field. And we're going to choose the variable that we have, which is get clients. And then we're going to add the value of the get clients AS collection, which is what we just triggered here in our front end. Hit save. Now let's go back to our home page here on our clients page, And then we're going to want to rename our action. So let's go up here, rename this to get clients. There we go. We'll go back. And from here, we're going to click on our web page, and we're going to want to choose a div block that is as close to the body as possible. So we'll click this first one, and then click the lightning, and we're going to add a new front-end action. The trigger that we're going to choose is component did mount, and that means we want to do that once the page is loaded. And then we're going to choose the new get clients action that we just created. Next, we're going to change this row here into a repeating row. So let's go down and click on anywhere inside of there. And then we're going to choose table row. So we highlight that whole row, go to the gear setting here, and we're going to change this to repeating with, and let's do our get clients collection. Hit OK. And now we can go into the individual information inside of our row. So let's change the name here. We're going to click on the text link, variable. We're going to choose repeating group, row, and then we'll do first name. But we want to append the first and last name. So remember, don't hit OK here. We're going to hit back. we're going to go into our formula section. Once inside the curly braces here, I'm just going to copy this row first name, go to the end, but still within the curly brackets, hit our plus sign. Then we're going to do a quote space quote, and then another plus sign. And let's paste in our row first name. And instead of returning the first name again, let's change that to last name. And you can see we have a valid formula here, and hit OK. And there we go. Next, let's change the email address here. Let's again click on text, variable, repeating group, row, and let's grab their email address. And you'll notice here that you can have their first initial last name. I'm going to show you how to achieve that here with Dittofi. So let's click on that, hit the gear icon. And for the text here, let's go to variable, repeating group, row, first name, and then let's, instead of hit OK, let's go back into our formula. Now here we can add another thing called an index. So we can actually say we just want to get the first letter. So for that, we're going to create a bracket, and then we'll do 0, and then end bracket. And that's actually going to return just the first initial of that person's name. Next, we can copy that whole thing. And then we'll come to the end of that. We'll add a plus. We'll add our space with a quote, space, quote, another plus, and repaste in, except this time we're changing the first name to last name. Still getting just the first initial of that last name. You can see we have a valid formula, so click OK. Next, we'll come over to the company. We're going to change that to their actual company name. So we'll choose repeating group, row, and then we'll call this the business name. Hit OK. Great. And then we have an initial here. So let's click this, go into our text, variable, repeating group, row, business name. But again, we have to go back and convert this to a formula. And we'll go inside the curly braces again, put another bracket of 0, end bracket, because we just want to retrieve the first letter of the business name, and it's a valid formula, so click OK. We're not really interested in the position, so we can click on the table cell, and we can go back to the top level of our table and the breadcrumbs down here at the bottom. Hit the gear icon, and let's get rid of column 2. And we'll leave our creation date there as well. And that should be it. So what we can do now is we can hit build code. And once our build is complete here, we can hit preview. And if we click on clients, we should actually get a list of our clients. And you can see we're returning the initials, the name, the email address, and the company name. Now, you'll notice here that this looks really weird because we have a space in here. So let's go back and fix that. We'll click on the gear icon, go back into settings, go to our formula, and we can actually get rid of this first plus quote space and hit OK. Let's rebuild our code. And then let's go back and refresh the page. And that looks much better. So now we have our clients page done. All we need to do now is make this button actually add a new client for us. So we'll go over how to do that in our next video.